Shalom, this is Mary Omni from the World Government House of King David, Holy Covenant Constitutional Enforcer. I'm the woman of Galatians 4:4 and the woman of Revelations 12. Please refer to your Bible. And all I ask you to do is consider that I am who I say I am. I'm the mother of the New Jerusalem, and I'm the mother that gave birth to newborn King Emmanuel, February the 15th, 2011. This is a Republic notice. Alert. Drones, guns, sequestration, and constitutionality. Okay, before President Obama assumed his second term, there were already talks about a fiscal cliff. Okay? And before he even ran for a second term, he was asked the question, well, if you and Congress ran into a problem the first time, and they gave you a hard way to go, and it was gridlock a lot of the times. How do you think you're going to overcome that in the second time that you're running? And he said, well, since I won't be running again, it won't be that they will be trying to, mess me up in seeking office again and make me looking bad. So they will pretty much go along better because they would know they can't tie me up from running for office again or succeeding again. And that was prior to the fiscal cliff talk. However, we're in March 2013 now, and there's talk of drones, guns, and sequestration. Now, the sequestration is addition to the fiscal cliff. Whatever was supposed to go down in the fiscal cliff was not worked out properly. And the reason it was not worked out properly is because Babylon is falling. Babylon is falling, and they don't want to let go. They're going to hold on with their rusty nails and their dung contracts for dear life. What's happening is Ben Bernanke, remember that name, Federal Reserve, bankers, elite, are all trying to fight the Constitution and President Obama. You have a lot of blacks like Professor McGriff, conspiracy theorist blacks who always point out this Illuminati and looking for every little thing that they can find against blacks. They so busy picking on blacks that they ain't fighting the white man that got his foot deep in their ass. Okay? Anyway, what's going on is King Yahshua and his army is on the earth and in the skies and the seas, and they're declaring constitutionality. They're going inside of these bunkers where these elite bankers wanted to run underground and build cities and tunnels underground to store their gold, silver, and a lot of the stuff while they was planning on doing a large mass of the population in. So this sequestration is a battle from the old Babylon and from Babylon falling. It's the battle of Babylon to hold on to its power, refusing to release any funding for the new budget, where President Obama said the budget has to consist of some more funding. And also it's a fight to think that they just going to steal outright and embezzle outright and not have nobody to bill it to. In other words, they don't want to lift the debt ceiling to bill the debtors in this country, which is majority Caucasian immigrants that came in on someone else's birthright and land. They're debtors. They're debtors. See, you cannot bill constitutional citizens because they're in a supreme contract of non-consent jurisdiction. And since they non-consent in that contract and they inherited, because they didn't even ask to go into that, they didn't consent to go into that, they didn't consent to be governed, so they can't be billed. So what they do is they embezzle from them, and then they bill it to consenters who came to this country voluntarily and consented to in corporate doctrines. Now, these senators, they have been betraying white folks in this country for a while and been making them the debt slaves. All of a sudden, they getting gumption in them as the neocons, the neoconservatives, they're getting gumption in them because they know their time is running out. Now, their bankers and stuff, some of them are running, but you still got these hijackers of calling themselves Republicans when the Republican Party is constitutional trademark and property belonging to the 15th Amendment Buffalo Soldiers left to constitutional citizen black males, and that has been non-consented. The Republican Party has been non-consented since its inception in 1867. So they're hijackers, still in the identity of the Republican Party, holding our government hostage, holding our money and wealth hostage. And as King Yeshua government is coming in to play, they want to try to slow it down by causing a money shortage. And when President Obama wants to push forth this budget, he not only wants to cut some of the fat of these embezzlers, but he also wants to infuse it with some money to keep some social programs going while he's cutting the fat of these embezzlers. So they don't want to release no money. The bankers, the elite bankers, and Ben Bernanke is now fighting the president of the United States. In other words, they're in high treason. They hijackers in high treason. They trying to hold him hostage as you would hold someone at gunpoint so that he can't run the government. They trying to keep him from running the government because they need to build debtors, because debtors are the ones that created this massive debt and all this embezzling and spending. And there's no way you can bill it and just steal it and not have nobody to bill it to, like the system of incorporate doctrines that is built to all along. Now, they want to try at the last minute to change it from billing it to incorporate doctrines. That's one of the things. But the real issue is they know their time is running out. The neocons and their bankers are being cornered, and they've getting ready to fight like rats in a corner. And so they're going to tie up and try to force by making President Obama fight for cash to run this government, which means the bankers is now trying to hold our president and our government hostage. Okay. Now, why President Obama don't just tell the truth and say that he has the constitutional supreme lien on all this, I think is because enough people are not woken up and just won't understand it, especially constitutional citizens themselves who have the supreme contract within their hands, okay, and can say that you are hijackers of my wealth, and I, by supreme contract, nullify you as senators. See, all them senators who hijacked our government and who hijacked the Republican Party have to be arrested eventually. Their pensions have to be seized. You know, we have to put a constitutional covenant ownership lien on all their assets, because what they are is outright criminals. Outright criminals, because they don't have the contractual authority to hold up our government by using acts under our U.S. corporate mule. Our U.S. corporate mule is subservient to the Constitution. It doesn't have one amendment, so you can't hold that up, which you are contractors under this U.S. corporate mule, as in corporate doctrine contractors. You cannot use the mule to try to usurp the Constitution, because the mule only have acts. It doesn't have one constitutional amendment, but that's what they're trying to do. Now, as far as these drones is concerned, the drones are coming about because as this system is changing from a hijack system to a King Yeshua ruled government, and we're going through birth pains, the incorporate doctrine contract and thieves immigrants who came to join Esau and bankers in this country to thieve, embezzle, and commit larceny and trample our Constitution, they're getting antsy. Now, they don't have gun rights. The Bill of Rights been non-consented since 1868. So most of them is just squatters in this country proclaiming rights that was never theirs. They don't have gun rights. They don't have the right to buy guns. They don't have no gun rights. In 1866, when blacks became enforcers of nationality and contracts, that means the gun laws and the Second Amendment stayed with them since 1866. It was used for the Civil War, and they inherited all that with the Bill of Rights, and the gun rights have been non-consented to foreigners since 1866, automatically enforced by Supreme Contract and Nationality of Non-Consent Nationality Jurisdiction Enforcement in the Constitution since 1868, prompted off of the 1866 Civil Rights Act laws before the 1871 U.S. Corporation, or prior to the 1871 corporation. So see, this stuff is non-consented prior to the corporation. And they coming after the corporation, and they trying to gain all these rights with the mule blocking them from the constitutional republic. Okay? So the drones is now connected with Eric Holder, and President Obama said that they have the right to fire on U.S. citizens. This is why you better make them distinguish the difference between a constitutional citizen and what they call a U.S. citizen under your corporate mule, black folks. You better make them tell and force them to state the difference between a constitutional citizen and a U.S. citizen, because a constitutional citizen is a constitutional citizen of the United States, and that's the connection to the sovereignty. The black woman is the fail-safe of this country. So constitutional citizens is the fail-safe of America. So you better tell Eric Holder and President Obama to distinguish the difference. This is why it's deadly not knowing your constitutional rights. So you better look at blacks. Constitutional literacy is deadly to blacks. So you better wake up and understand that. So President Obama administration now is buying a lot of the ammunition for these guns that these people who don't have no right by our constitutionality to have guns on our land that they're squatting on. So he's buying the ammunition, and he's putting drones in the sky, and the sequestration is going on. But you better wake up to your constitutionality, and you better make it clear that you're not a fake U.S. citizen, that you are a supreme contractual constitutional citizen, and that national security of the drones is to protect your constitutionality, not to cause you any harm whatsoever. Therefore, if they run out of money, they better not touch constitutional citizens' rights to welfare, social security, housing, or anything. They better cut all these immigrant groups that came here under acts with no constitutionality. And you better ensure that these agency heads do that. Go after all the agency heads. People, go after all the agency heads and let them know King Yeshua is getting ready to move in his governance and to serve Judah, the constitutional sovereignty and citizens of this country, as the priority. If you don't have enough money in any of these agencies, you better call off the recent group of immigrants and then go from step to step, from recent to recent to recent to recent group of immigrants under the 214 and under all these other 1986 immigrant acts, and tell them to go back where they came from if you're running out of money. But President Obama is cutting the military because he knows the real military of the holy military of King Yeshua and his army is going to be moving in shortly. This is Mary Omni from the House of King David. Shalom.